Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, Abuja High Court sacks Abia State Governor Ekweremadu for tax evasion. Governor's camp reacts, says that the governor has committed no crime, appeals judgment of the Federal High Court. Senate President and his deputy arraigned for alleged forgery. Senator Bukola Saraki accuses federal government of pursuing the nefarious agenda. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel says that no talks on Brexit before the UK begins formal process of leaving the EU.
And on Business News tonight, NNPC plans $50 billion investment to fund oil projects in the country.
On Sports News tonight, top seed and defending champion Novak Djokovic gets easy ride to the second round at Wimbledon.
Gloria Umezuki, and from Abuja, federal government advocates single-digit mortgage facility for low and middle-income earners.
We begin tonight from Abuja, where a federal high court has annulled the election of Governor Ekweremadu of Abia State. The court also ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to issue a certificate of return to Samson Oga, a member of the People's Democratic Party who contested the governorship ticket with the governor. The court held that Mr. Ekweremadu was guilty of tax evasion and therefore unqualified to have contested the 2015 governorship elections in the state. The court also ordered the governor to vacate office immediately. Well, in the meantime, the government of Abia State said that it will appeal the judgment of the Abuja High Court. The chief press secretary of the governor, Eyinaya Apollos, told Channels Television today in Umuahia, the state capital, that the governor has always been a government official and his tax has always been deducted from the source, as is the normal practice. The CPS says there is no end for Abians, no fear for them to panic, and that Ekweremadu remains the governor of the state.
The case in court is that the governor, that the tax receipt which the governor submitted to INEC before the election was forged. Some of you who are conversant with the governor and his activities in the recent days will agree and understand that since he left the university, he has been in the state government. The governor served the state as the general manager of the Abia State Integrated Passenger Scheme as FINS. From there, he left and was appointed the first deputy general manager of ASEPA in charge of Abia. He was in that office until October 2014 when he resigned to contest the PDP primaries. You know that as an appointee of government, even before his salary is paid, his tax is being deducted at source by the state government. So he has no need whatsoever to force any tax receipt. The governor remains in office as governor of the state, and he has also instructed his lawyers to appeal the ruling of the court as we have it today.
We'll have more discussions on that recent development from Abia State much later on the bulletin. In the meantime, the President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, his deputies, Senator Ekweremadu, immediate past clerk of the National Assembly, Salisu Mai Kazwa, and the Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Benedict Efetori, have pleaded not guilty to a 2-count charge of criminal conspiracy and forgery. The 4 accused persons who were arraigned at the Federal Capital Territory High Court were granted bail. While the Senate President was granted bail without any conditions attached, the other 3 accused persons were granted bail on the condition that they would produce 2 reasonable sureties, who must be Nigerians and owners of properties in Asokoro, Maitama, Wuse 2, and the Garki areas of Abuja. Our correspondent Amaka Okafo reports.
The FCT High Court Jabi in Abuja witnessed an unusual beehive of activity, and this is not unconnected with what has been dubbed a high-profile trial, which has been a subject of wider debate on the separation of powers between the executive and the legislature. This was reinforced by protesters who besieged the court premises. The Senate President, his deputy, the former clerk of the National Assembly, and the current deputy clerk of the National Assembly were arraigned on a 2-count charge of criminal conspiracy and forgery. They pleaded not guilty to the charges. Each of the accused person asked for bail in the most liberal terms, because the essence of bail is to ensure that the accused persons who were presumed innocent until proven guilty have the liberty to attend their trial. Reacting to the application, the prosecutor, Mohammed Diri, told the court that he will not be opposing the application of the Senate President. However, he was opposed to the application of the other 3 accused persons because they had evaded service, which had prompted the prosecutor to seek substituted service. Justice Yusuf Halilu admitted the Senate President to bail with no conditions attached, since the prosecutor had made no objections. However, for the first, second and fourth accused persons, he admitted them to bail with 2 sureties each, who must be Nigerians, male or female, and who must have landed properties either in Asokoro, Maitama, Wuseitu or the Garki area of the FCT.
I oppose bail for the first, second and fourth defendants. I did not oppose bail for the 3rd defendant, that is the Senate President. And I gave my reason to the court that we don't intend to disturb the conduct of the legislative business on the floor of the Senate.
The charges were read, conspiracy and forgery, and they pleaded not guilty to them.
The accused persons are expected to return on July 11th for commencement of hearing. All parties say they are ready to commence. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Saraki has been reacting to his arraignment alongside his deputy at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja over alleged forgery of Senate standing rules. In a statement personally signed by him, Senator Bukola Saraki reiterated his innocence and that of his deputy, Senator Ekweremadu, over the charges filed by the Attorney General of the Federation. The Senate President claims that the charges present a violation of the principles of the separation of powers between the executive and the legislature as enshrined in the nation's constitution. Senator Saraki describes the action by the Attorney General as misguided and alleges that there now exists a government within the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, who, in his words, have seized the apparatus of executive powers to pursue their nefarious agenda. He adds, quote, "If yielding to the nefarious agenda of a few individuals who are bent on undermining our democracy and destabilizing the federal government to satisfy their selfish interest is the alternative to losing my personal freedom, let the doors of jails be thrown open, and I shall be a happy guest." The presidency, in a quick response, dismisses Dr. Saraki's claims of having the government within the government that has seized the apparatus of the executive powers as pretentious and imaginary. The presidency challenged him to back his claims with more information by identifying those who constitute the government within the government. As far as the federal government is concerned, the Attorney General is the chief law officer of the state, and it is within his constitutional powers to determine who has infringed upon the law and who has not. According to the President's media advisor, Mr. Femi Adesina, he quotes, "Pretending to carry an imaginary cross is mere obfuscation. If indeed a criminal act has been committed, we leave the court to judge." End of quote. Well, I'll take you to our lead story, where we told you that the Federal High Court in Abuja has annulled the election of Governor Okezie Ikpeazu. We're going to look further into this as I'm now being joined by a senior lawyer, Mr. Osaho Ihehen, who joins us on the News at 10. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the News at 10 at this time. It's been a while now that we've been following up on political developments in Nigeria, especially with this new government and this new administration. Governor being sacked. The first we heard about was Darius Ishaku of Taraba State. It does appear that the web of sacks is now back. Did you see this one coming?
I didn't see it coming because, in fact, it was quite shocking when I heard this evening that Governor Okezie Ikpeazu has been sacked by the Federal High Court, presided over by Justice Okunabang.
Okay, it wasn't a surprise to you. So why are we having this now?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think what the position of the Federal High Court in Abuja is that Governor Ekweremadu is in breach of Section 24, sub F of the 1999 Constitution, which stipulates that a citizen of Nigeria is supposed to declare his earnings promptly to government agencies, and is supposed to pay his taxes promptly. I think there's just some snippets of the reports, of the judgment coming out now. From the snippets, we're told in one report that there was that one of the tax receipts was actually dated on a Saturday or something, and but the main thing is that it is the man that came second, Uche, I think the Uche Oga, yes, that came second in the primaries of PDP, that is the one that is challenging Okeze Ekweremadu. So it further reinforces the fact that it is the party that produces the candidate, and that it is the party that wins an election. So it remains within PDP even should Mr. Ekweremadu explore all his rights up to the Supreme Court, it will still be a PDP candidate who will replace him, as it were.
He says that he's going to appeal the case in court. Do you see him coming through with this?
What he says, I've also heard that he said that he was actually a government official. He was working for government, and if he worked for government, definitely there would be, independent of the receipts that they are claiming that are forged because they are dated on a Saturday, I believe there will be other proofs to show that he actually paid his tax. If that is the case, then he should be able to have he should be able to win at the Court of Appeal, probably even at the Supreme Court, if all those other proofs are able to avail him.
I'm looking at the positives on this as well. The rules set by the party for the primaries is not contained in any local government. How strong is this case, would you say?
Well, it is mainly based on Section 24, subsection F of the Constitution. It is not one of those pre-qualification issues that are provided for by the Constitution under Section 177 and 182, whereby you have to be a citizen of Nigeria, you have to be qualified you have to have read up to at least school certificate level, and a host of other provisions of Section 177 and 182. This is basically the provision of Section 24 sub F of the 1999 Constitution, which says you need to pay declare your earnings and pay your tax promptly. That is what I think is been accused of having breached. Well, I think he has his rights to go to the Court of Appeal, and of course up to the apex court, and whatever is then decided, I think all parties will abide the decision of the Supreme Court.
Give us a clear understanding of what could have led to this judgment by Justice Okonabang.
Well, the clear understanding, it is very clear. What they are accusing him of is that he did not. I think the pith of the essence of Uche Oga and the rest of them, the essence of their complaint is that he did not pay his tax because his tax receipts bear Saturday, and of course they claim that these tax receipts are forged. Well, the Federal High Court has decided he has his right to go to the Court of Appeal, and of course probably even up to the Supreme Court.
Senior lawyer Mr. Osahon Ehenye, I want to thank you so much indeed for talking to us on the news
very much for
at 10. In part 2, after the break, UN raises the alarm over humanitarian crisis in internally displaced people's camps in Borno State. Stay with us.